with the loss yesterday, the buzz is back at the ballpark, and for good reason. Your Rangers have righted the ship, playing good baseball and climbing out of an early season hole. There's the hottest hitter in baseball, Prince Fielder, hitting the ball all over the park. There's the veteran, Adrian Beltre, coming into midseason all-star form. And there's Josh Hamilton, back in a Rangers uniform and ready to roll. Tonight, local hero Yovani Gallardo gets the start when the Rangers and the Boston Red Sox meet next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T UVerse TV. You know, the clouds are significantly thinner than they were at this time last night. Rangers looking for a big crowd here on a Friday night at Globe Life Park as they host the Boston Red Sox in Game 2 of this weekend series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for what should be a big night here at Rangers Ballpark. And Globe Life Park is expected to fill close to capacity. And the Red Sox and Rangers getting set to hook up in Game 2. And Tom, the Rangers tonight turning to Yovani Gallardo, see if he can get things started here at home.
Yeah, and I think Yovani's had a solid season. He's started 10 times. He has a decision in every start. He's 4-6. 2 starts ago, he struggled a little bit in Boston against the Red Sox, but he came in strong in his last start in New York. He pitched 6 innings in that start, only gave up 4 hits and a couple of runs, only walked the batter and struck out 6. So coming off one of his better starts of the season against the Yankees, he'll try to make up for the start that he had in Boston and have a nice game against the Red Sox tonight.
And get the Rangers deep into the ball game, too. That's something that the starters have had a little bit of a problem doing lately, but Yovani, the guy out there that wants to eat up some innings here tonight. So Game 2 of this 4-game weekend series coming up. The Red Sox and the Rangers. Josh Hamilton looking to build on last night's performance when he went 2 for 4. We'll be back with the starting lineup for the first pitch right after this. brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. The Ford Memorial Day EcoBoost sales event is here. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Now the skies are reasonably clear tonight. Threat of rain apparently out of the forecast, at least for this evening. Maybe tomorrow morning early, but not here tonight. And before we get things started, let's head down and check in with Emily Jones. Em?
Well, Buzz, Giovanni Gallardo trending upward in 8 of his last 9 starts, giving up 3 or fewer earned runs, a trend he's looking to continue, and his manager is looking for consistency out of his veteran.
I've seen a guy that really control guy, exactly what we thought we were going to get, a guy that was going to control his fastball, be able to get the changeup in play, the cutter in play, and the breaking ball in play. Had a little stretch in there. We didn't score any runs for him.
And hopefully things will be clicking on all cylinders tonight, both for Giovanni and for the offense. He has been the victim of some bad circumstance here and there. We'll see how it goes as the Rangers look to stop a 2-game skid here tonight, Buzz.
All right, Ed, thanks. Well, the starting lineup for the Red Sox brought to you by Amica, and here's Tom to tell you what that is.
Red Sox will start with Dustin Pedroia at leadoff, playing second base, followed by Mookie Betts, the center fielder. Pablo Sandoval is playing third base, batting third. Hanley Ramirez is the DH, and Mike Napoli, batting fifth, is at first base. The left fielder is Brock Holt. Xander Bogaerts is the shortstop, batting seventh, followed by the catcher, Blake Swihart, in the eighth position, and batting ninth in right field, Rusney Castillo.
John Farrell, the skipper of the Boston Red Sox, talking to Pablo Sandoval. And our progressive scouting report for Giovanni Gallardo tonight. Well, the command has been a problem for Giovanni when he's had problems. And Alberto immediately tested a low throw, dug out very nicely by Mitch Moreland over there at first. Now, continuing our progressive scouting report. The command has not been outrageously bad, but it has not been good to both sides of the plate. And better fastball command enables Giovanni to use the off-speed pitches more effectively. He's able to get to them more quickly in the count and pitch ahead of the count, which makes that changeup even a better pitch for him. So look for that here tonight against these Boston Red Sox.
First ball pitched by Giovanni turned out to be a tricky little play for Hanser Alberto, getting a chance to play shortstop for the first time. He picked it clean, threw on the run, and as Mitch Moreland has done as well as anybody in the league this year, he picked that throw out of the dirt on a short hop.
And Mookie Betts up there takes strike one.
Tricky little hop, fields it cleanly. Not a tough play. That one wasn't that tough for Mitch. It just took a tiny short hop. Some of the ones he's been picking have been tough.
He appealed down to first, and yes, he did. He went around with a swing, says Chris Siegel, the first base umpire. No, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Betts, 250 average. 5 home runs, 25 driven in, 1 for 3 in the matchup against Giovanni Gallardo at Fenway Park 10 days ago. Call, strike 3. Locked him up like he threw him in jail.
Well, he swung a pitch that was a borderline pitch for strike 2, and then that looked like a pretty good fastball right in the outside corner.
And we'll take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense, delivered to you by Brake Check tonight. Outfield of Hamilton, Martin in center, and Chu. Moreland at first, Adam Rosales at second. Hanser Alberto, his first major league start, his first major league game, and Adrian Beltre at third with Robinson Chirinos catching. No, 2 up, 2 away here in the first inning. Pablo Sandoval, the switch hitting third baseman up there. Sandoval, a 263 average. And Gallardo just missed the outside corner, 2-0. Sandoval, the most appearances against Gallardo of any Red Sox hitter. He's had 24 at-bats over the course of his career against Giovanni. Gone 5 for 24. Just a 208 average. But here Gallardo has fallen behind 3-0. And ball 4. Sandoval draws a 4-pitch walk. He is aboard, first base runner of the night. And it'll bring up Hanley Ramirez.
Yeah, Sandoval is a pretty free swinger. Not a guy with a high walk total by any means. Had a couple of amazing swings at pitches last night that were a little bit low. Put one in play, as a matter of fact, for a foul pop up to third base. Just didn't get one close enough to swing at in that at bat. Otherwise, I think he would have been swinging.
We may have to stop calling him a switch hitter, too. He's going to hit left-handed against left-handers all the time.
Yeah.
Well, Hanley Ramirez, a big night last night, a double and a home run. Takes a pitch to the outside corner. That was the cutter from Yovani Gallardo. Strike 1. Ramirez 3 for 10 against Gallardo. 257 the overall average. His 11th home run came last night. It was a solo shot. His first home run since April the 29th. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gallardo, that 4.13 ERA, and his ERA has been pretty consistent in the upper 3s or low 4s virtually the entire year. You look at the defense, and around to the left by a couple of steps for the Rangers. The pitch on the outside corner. It is 1-2. Heard Jeff Bannister talking about Yovani Gallardo, what he has done, and he said he's done exactly what they thought he would. He's come over, been a consistent pitcher, and win-loss record maybe not what it could be if the ball club had been scoring some more runs, but he has given the Rangers the consistency in that spot in the rotation.
Yeah, in addition to offensive support, there's been 2 or 3 games where there's been a play or two that haven't been made behind him. Sometimes it's been an error. Sometimes it's just been a play that went for a hit, but might have been a playable ball. That has hurt him in games too.
Now the 2-2. Got him swinging. Good curveball. And Gallardo gets a punch out. 2 in the inning. Red Sox strand a runner after a half inning. Red Sox nothing. Rangers coming up. Texas Rangers starting lineup.
For the Rangers, it'll be Leonis Martin leading off in center field. Shin-Soo Choo will bat second. Prince Fielder is the DH. Adrian Beltre is in the cleanup spot, playing his customary third base. Josh Hamilton bats fifth in left field. Mitch Moreland follows up at first base. Robinson Chirinos is batting seventh and catching. Adam Rosales is playing second. And getting his first start at shortstop is Hanser Alberto.
And Jeff Manison's ball club tonight will be tasked with facing Stephen Wright, who converted to being a knuckleball pitcher before the 2011 season. Pretty good mark. This is his second start this year. Rangers, well, the best guess is you try to make the knuckleball or get the ball up a little bit. Not sure that when he's throwing a good knuckleball, there's any single way to go about hitting him. You get different opinions from different hitters. But let's just say you need to see the ball as well as you possibly can and then have a hack at it if you do. Wright, a 30-year-old, originally with the Cleveland Indians. Came over to the Boston Red Sox in a trade a couple of years ago. Leonis Martin back in that leadoff spot, a .215 average with 3 home runs and 11 driven in. Takes a strike, it's 2-1. Wright last time out against the Los Angeles Angels gave up hits to 3 of the first 4 hitters he faced, gave up 2 runs in the first inning, then shut down the Angels as he pitched into the 7th. The 2-1 coming. And outside and high, 3 balls and a strike. Well, Leonis trying to get aboard any way he can to start this off. Shin-Soo Choo will follow in the order.
He threw him a 2-0 fastball. See if he throws him a 3-1 fastball. No, threw him a knuckleball. Or a slider. Sometimes it's hard to tell if the ball breaks sideways whether it's a knuckleball or a slider.
Yeah. Now the payoff pitch. And a little chopper foul down the first base side.
Charlie Huff had a little slurve type thing he threw occasionally. And Charlie always said one of the keys for him was when he threw a fastball, he needed to throw a strike. He didn't want to waste a fastball and throw it for a ball.
Call strike 3.
Well, pretty good knuckleball. I don't know if it was a strike or not, but it danced down and in pretty well.
Todd Sister, the home plate umpire, really not easy for a home plate umpire to call these consistently either.
And he caught the bottom of the strike zone. And the other key for the hitter is in the course of the game, there you get the look at the knuckleball. Whoa, that's a beautiful picture. No spin on that knuckleball. You're going to get some knuckleballs that don't do anything. They come in at 73 miles an hour and straight. And those are the ones you better tee off on. The really good knuckleballs, it's kind of potluck whether you can hit those. But the ones that don't knuckle are like a batting practice pitch. You just don't want to miss them. You don't know which ones are going to knuckle and which ones aren't, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, neither does his pitcher. Choo,
there's a good one.
Showing bunt and takes a strike. It's 1-1.
Charlie used to say occasionally he would start a hitter off with a fastball when he knew he was looking for a knuckleball to try to get ahead in the count. The dangerous thing is to get behind 2-0 and 3-1, have to throw a fastball and have the hitter looking for a fastball, because basically a knuckleball's pitcher's fastball is usually 78 to 82 miles an hour, and pretty good hitters pitch to hit.
Yeah, I remember Charlie saying that he couldn't break out that high riser very, very much. He didn't have that fastball with him most of the time. Choo fouls it back.
Well, it's definitely an interesting pitch. Then the great thing about being a knuckleball pitcher, if you can keep that knuckleball dancing, it probably doesn't take as much out of your arm as a 95 mile an hour fastball. You tend to be able to pitch a little bit longer. Changeup knuckleball, 62 miles an hour.
Well, that's one thing Wright has found out over the last couple of years. He said that, he tried to throw the knuckleball hard when he first learned it, and he said it moved a lot, but he couldn't control it. And he found out that if he threw it a little more slowly, that he had better command of it. And there's a pretty good pitch on the inside corner that Choo caught looking at.
The one to Martin looked like it came down and slightly into him. That one came down and looked like it broke slightly back toward the plate. Right on the inside corner. You see the grip that he has. First 2 fingers getting that knuckleball action.
So a pair of called third strikes. 2 gone for Prince Fielder. 1 ball, no strikes. Fielder still the league's top average despite going 0 for 4 last night. .361. That's still second in the major leagues to D. Gordon. Oh, nice play by Wright. He reacted very quickly to that chopper and throws outfielder. So 2 strikeouts and a nice fielding play. Wright has a 1-2-3 inning. We have finished 1, no score in Arlington. Here at Globe Life Park, we got things underway with the first pitch at about 7:07. Scoreless ball game. Giovanni Gallardo, who had a couple of strikeouts in the first, will begin things in the second by facing Mike Napoli. Napoli, Holt, and Bogarts. The first 3 for the Red Sox. And Napoli takes strike 1. Napoli, the player of the week in the American League last week. Last 10 ball games, Napoli has hit .371, and that goes back to the last game against the Rangers in Fenway Park. He got things turned around there, and then he just went on a big roll. Angels came in, and as usual, he crushed some balls out of Fenway Park against them. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. Go back over the last 10 ball games. Napoli has raised his batting average almost 50 points, gone from 162 to 211. That's out of play to the right, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Red Sox coming into play tonight at 22-26. They are a game worse off than the Rangers are, but they trail in the AL East by just 3 games to the New York Yankees. John Farrell's club had been around 500 a while back and fallen on hard times, now trying to get back at it. And Napoli caught looking at a 3rd strike there. So 1 away. Brock Holt coming up. Let's welcome in Jim Knox. Jim?
All right, appreciate it, Buzz. What a night for baseball. Foundation Fridays, by the way. And we're talking about the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation teaming up with Just Keep Living program, helping high schoolers stay fit in North Texas. That's right. And here's some of the high schoolers enjoying the program.
What I enjoy most about Just Keep Living is that it gives you life lessons, and also by doing the rock and roll marathon, it helps you in your life, not just in your physical activities, and it helps you, gives you motivation to keep pushing yourself for better, which is also a good lesson for life.
For more information on that, log on to TexasRangers.com/foundation. You're a busy guy tonight, huh? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Hot dog guy in the stands tonight. Having a good time, Buzz, huh?
All right, Doctor. I know if he's there, you're going to find him. You just did. Adrian Beltre took care of that slicing ground ball off the bat of Brock Holt.
He makes some of those plays look easy. That was a slicing bad hop that just happened to end up right in the center of his glove. He's lucky like that.
Right where the ball
just finds.
Yeah,
seems to find the middle of his glove.
Yep.
Other guys don't have that same luck.
He's got that GPS dialed in.
Yeah.
Well, Xander Bogaerts, and there was some doubt that Bogaerts would be able to take the field tonight. He got hit on the hand last night. X-rays were negative, and swelling was apparently such today that he was able to swing and do all the baseball activities he needed, so he's back in there. 1 ball and 1 strike to him. Bogaerts, a .268 hitter. He's been on a pretty good roll until about 3 days ago. He's gone 0 for his last 12, but prior to that, he had hit .302 over his last 16 ball games. He'd gotten things going pretty well. Gallardo with a 2-1 pitch. Bogaerts, as we were talking about last night, one of the young guns for the Red Sox, still just 22, and he has faced the Rangers 4 times in his short career. He's hit safely in all 4 games. That's fouled out of play to the right. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. David Ortiz, Big Papi. Working a little bit before the game and a little early batting practice for him. Working on his swing, trying to come out of the offensive funk that he has been in. Another foul. John Farrell wouldn't commit as to whether he'd have Ortiz back in the lineup tomorrow or Sunday, or
I think he should probably wait till the Red Sox leave.
I would think so.
Give him a good 4 days off. The way he's pounded the Rangers, kind of glad he's not in the lineup.
14-game hitting streak in this ballpark. Another 2-2. And runs the count full. So Bogaerts with 2 outs, trying to get aboard. If he is able to reach, Blake Swihart would get a shot at Gallardo here in the 2nd inning. Chirinos flashing the signs out, and Gallardo to the plate. Giovanni, the 29-year-old out of Fort Worth, the Trimble Tech High School. Milwaukee Brewers made him their draft choice. Another 3-2 on the way. Off the end of the bat to Moreland. Little underhand to Gallardo covering, and that will do it. 3 up, 3 down for Gallardo over the Red Sox. We played an inning and a half. Red Sox nothing, Rangers nothing. Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The Ford Memorial Day EcoBoost sales event is here. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. It's a family affair at the ballpark. Young and old alike, and having a great time with the concessions and little Ranger baseball. Adrian Beltre starting off the Rangers' second inning, middle third of the order, facing Stephen Wright. Beltre, a .263 average, had a double in last night's ball game. That's that one down toward the trademark a little bit, and to left field where Brock Holt kind of circled around, made the catch for out number one.
Yeah, so far Stephen Wright's had a pretty good knuckleball. It's dancing around pretty well. It'll be interesting to see the second time through the lineup if the Ranger hitters feel a little bit more comfortable with him. The one thing that is very difficult for a hitter is you hardly ever see a knuckleball pitcher. You might see R.A. Dickey with Toronto and Stephen Wright. Not sure if there's any more knuckleball pitchers or not. Those are the only two I can think of right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you can go on practice against them.
No. When we were playing, Buzz, Wilbur Wood was a knuckleball pitcher. He was a left-hander with the White Sox.
Yep.
He had a year. I'm not sure how many games he started, but he started both games of a doubleheader one time.
Sure did. Yeah, that one year he had 24 and 21, I think, was the one year that he had with the White Sox, that I recall.
Well, he was usually in there long enough to work a decision out because he wasn't a five and done kind of guy. He could throw a lot of pitches. He stayed in the game long enough to get a decision.
2-1 to Hamilton. That goes all the way to the backstop. And now Josh hitting with a 3-ball and 1-strike count. Hamilton last night, the only multiple hit game of a Ranger. He was 2 for 4. Had that double his first time up, singled in the only Ranger run last night in the ninth inning.
Ranger fans will remember R.A. Dickey. R.A. Dickey was the #1 draft choice, a traditional pitcher when he signed, got to the big leagues and was doing pretty well as a big league pitcher, but he's kind of in a position to have to make a team and have to do well to stay in the big leagues, and he decided to make the conversion to a knuckleball pitcher.
Hamilton, a drive to right. There it goes. Goodbye. Well, the fans welcomed him last night for a single and a double. How about this welcome for the first home run?
That knuckleball looked like on the inside part of the plate. And one thing we've seen from Josh in the 3 or 4 games he's played is his bat is just as quick as ever. Time will tell how that translates success-wise, but right now he looks strong, healthy, and quick. Just not that you have to be quick necessarily to turn on a knuckleball, but whenever he's been thrown in, he's had a good swing at it.
Josh getting the applause and the high fives followed that home run. Low line drive, but just kept on going. Now Mitch tried to tee off on one of his own.
And Mitch got one that started out where Josh hit that ball, but then dropped down probably below the strike zone. Had some great movement to it.
Got him swinging.
Wow, both of those dropped. Looked like he took a little bit off both those pitches and got them to move a little bit more.
2 away. One more look at Josh Hamilton's home run.
Josh hit the knuckleball in the mid-70s. Mitch saw the knuckleball in the low 60s, 8 or 10 miles an hour slower, and both of them really dropped right at the end.
Now here's Robinson Chirinos. Takes outside for ball 1. Chirinos, 194 with the average, 5 home runs, 16 driven in. Right back to the plate. And dances one through the strike zone. Robinson, last 8 ball games, has hit almost 300, 292. Gotten that average back up, trending up. In those 8 ball games, he's had 3 home runs and 4 RBI. Got him swinging. There's that slow knuckleball again. Couple of strikeouts, but Josh Hamilton made contact, and it was loud contact. His first home run in his return to the Rangers. After 2, Rangers 1, Red Sox nothing. Against the White Sox, and the first 15,000 fans will receive a Texas Rangers yearbook. Don't miss your chance to get this annual collectible. Just visit TexasRangers.com for tickets. Yovani Gallardo now has a 1-0 lead with which to work. He goes to the hill in the bottom of the third, or top of the third, I should say, and Blake Swihart, Red Sox catcher, lines one softly to center for the out. Rusney Castillo coming up, and right now let's send it over to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. Castillo, a .211 average. Does not have a home run. He has driven in just 1. Gallardo hits the outside corner. Castillo 1 for 4 with an RBI last night. That was his first for the Red Sox. One and two.
Giovanni doing a nice job of painting that outside corner with his fastball. A couple of the strikeouts, one to Napoli and one to Betts, were both good fastballs right on the outside corner. Taken.
Tried to get Castillo to offer that breaking ball, and he would not do it. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Chased a couple of them last night. One at bat, he laid off it. Got it the next pitch and couldn't lay off it.
Here's a base hit to right. Castillo just poking it that way and through the hole on the right side. So there's the first hit of the night against
second baseman
Gallardo back to the top of the order. Over and checking with Jim Knox.
All right, Buzz, we are in the best seat of the house. Of course, it's with the great Chuck Morgan, and this is National Jersey Night, right, Chuck?
It is National Jersey Night here at Globe Life Park. We got probably 2,000 or 3,000 fans wearing Ranger jerseys tonight. It really feels good. It's kind of like being back a high school football player when you wear your jersey on Friday to school and playing the game that night.
Now, you came up with this great idea here at the ballpark. Now, what happened when the person, the Ranger fan, came in their National Jersey Night jersey?
He had on a Texas Rangers jersey. We had a parade before the game around the warning track, and then everybody that wore a Rangers jersey got a free ticket to a game later in the year.
All right, you have a nice jersey?
Yes. You even wore a Texas.
This is for a reason.
Whose jersey do you have?
Of course, it's Prince Fielder.
Prince Fielder. You know what that makes me want to do right now?
What is that?
That makes me want to get my smartphone and vote Prince Fielder for the All-Star game.
That is a great idea. Where can we vote for Prince Fielder?
You can do that at TexasRangers.com on your smartphone, computer, or tablet.
All right, I'm going to go do that as well. Now, also, what we're going to do in a couple innings, we're going to go find the, I guess you could say, the best jersey in the house, huh?
The best jersey in the house, and if you could ever find that Grieve jersey. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
Lunch with
Right.
Tom Grieve and the great Steve Busby. If you could find a Tom Grieve jersey. Don't know if it's possible.
I am going to hunt around the entire stadium. I will find a Tom Grieve jersey, I promise, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, Chuck, appreciate it. Get you back to work there. Appreciate it, buddy.
Sounds like a setup to me, Buzz.
Yeah, it does to me, too. That's a little too convenient. Oh, well, that's all right. Castillo at first, Pedroia up there. Count of no balls and 2 strikes. And he pokes one through the hole. Castillo
Thanks, Chuck.
will stop at second base, and Chu throws in to the cutoff man, Alberto. So back-to-back singles going the other way for Castillo and Pedroia. Pedroia now has extended his hitting streak to 9 consecutive ball games.
A pitch away from him, barely on the outside corner. I guess that's about all you could do with that pitch. He's got the hole to shoot for with Mitch holding the runner at first. And both the last 2 hitters have found that hole between first and second. Buzz, I want to thank Melody Nickel. She was the one that sent us the cakes today with our uniform jersey, in the shape of our uniform jerseys.
Very artistic, very nice.
Melody and Russ are in town. They live in Oklahoma. Big Ranger fans. Well, thank you, Melody, for taking the time to do that.
Very, very nice. Thank you very much.
Also for the chicken and pork you sent. That fed a lot of people up here.
Mookie Betts called out on strikes back in the first inning. He's up there with runners at first and second. 1 out. Castillo at second. Pedroia trailing him at first. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Yolani with 3 strikeouts tonight. 1 walk that came back in the first inning, and not giving up a hit until this frame. And he's given up back-to-back singles. Breaking ball is off the outer edge. 2-1 now. We mentioned last night that Betts and Pedroia had traded places in the lineup. Pedroia moving up to the leadoff spot, Betts to second. And it's benefited both of them. Pedroia, we mentioned, has hit safely now in all 7 games that he has been a leadoff hitter, 9 games overall. And Betts has fared very well since moving to the second spot. He's hitting .349. And he's driven in 4 runs since then.
A lot of called strikes on the fastball today for Giovanni.
Gallardo okays the sign, the 2-2 pitch. Looked like Todd Tischer, the home plate umpire, really wanted to throw his right hand up and decided against it at the last second.
Yeah, that one, we've seen the one at the bottom of the strike zone called a lot. That's just a little bit lower than the ones that are recently called strikes on a consistent basis. That one was stretching a little bit.
Payoff pitch. Play for Leonis Martin. And, the throw comes in to keep the runners where they are. That's out number 2. Next will be Pablo Sandoval.
Aiming for the bottom of the strike zone. Looked like he hit it that time. Down and away. Actually, it was the same one he took.
Yeah. Yeah. Sandoval drew a 4-pitch walk in the first inning. .263 average for the Red Sox third baseman. Sandoval 1 for 5 in yesterday's ball game, so he's hit safely now in each of his last 3 games. Castillo establishing his lead out there at second. Pedroia away from first. And Sandoval pops it foul back into the seats. Sandoval, of course, one of the 2 big free agent acquisitions. Something that Boston has really struggled with. Rangers were struggling earlier, but they've kind of righted that ship. With runners in scoring position, Seattle and the Red Sox both as a team hitting at .223. And Sandoval gets a little pop-up. Foul territory. Mitch Moreland with the play, and that'll do it. Well, good job by Yovani Gallardo to work around the 2 singles and strand a pair. 2.5 in the books. Rangers 1, Red Sox nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. Continuous series against the White Sox. So head on out to Globe Life Park for an early summer game and enjoy all the ballpark hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Those look good on the grill out here at Globe Life. Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Adam Rosales to start things off against Stephen Wright. The knuckleballer dances one across home plate for strike 1. Rosales at 194, 3 home runs, 7 RBI. 1-1 the count. Wright has allowed just the 1 hit, the Josh Hamilton home run in the 2nd. 1-2.
Red Sox had one of the better knuckleballers of his era. Tim Wakefield had a nice career throwing the knuckleball for the Red Sox.
And Stephen Wright credited Wakefield with some of his later development when he came over to the Red Sox organization. Here's a shot by the dive of Sandoval and into the left field corner. Rosales cruising into second with a leadoff double. Well, there's one of those knuckleballs that stayed up a little bit. Maybe didn't have quite the knuckling that you're talking about, Tom.
Yeah. And we've seen it in this game. When he throws a really good knuckleball, the hitters have generally swung and missed at it, or maybe taken it. And a couple of times when he's thrown one that didn't do what it was supposed to do, it's been hit pretty well. You see that one kind of stays up and doesn't drop down right at the end. Just by the Kung Fu Panda.
Well, here's Hanser Alberto with his first major league at bat.
How about your first at bat? It's against the knuckleball pitcher.
Yeah.
Probably never seen one before. Of course, there's probably a lot of guys that have never seen a knuckleball before. If they have, they haven't seen many of them.
A bunt, and it's a good one. Wright picks it up and throws out Alberto with Pedroia, the second baseman, covering the bag. Nice bunt by Hanser Alberto. He gets Rosales to third. He's there with one out.
One of those plays, you get a sacrifice if the pitcher makes the play on it. He bunts it a little harder, a little bit toward third base. He gets himself a base hit. Good try. No way the third baseman was going to make a play on that if he bunted a little bit harder.
I don't know if it's any easier trying to bunt a knuckleball than it is trying to hit it or not. But
I think if it dances pretty well, you're probably doing a pretty good job if you can bunt it.
Well, the Red Sox now playing the infield back, with the exception of Sandoval at third. They will give up the run for the out. Not on that one, though. Stephen Wright checks Rosales back to third and throws out Leonis Martin. 2 gone. Well, next will be Shin-Soo Choo.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a ground ball in that situation, especially a slowly hit one if you get it by the pitcher.
Yeah.
Infield back. Unfortunately, that one was just tapped right back to the pitcher.
Well, Choo called out on strikes in the first inning. And the knuckleball stays up high for ball 1.
One thing we've seen so far, we haven't noticed the catcher, which means he must be doing a pretty good job.
He hasn't boxed any up. This is where it becomes really important, though. That big glove, he gets some leather on. There's the pitch we're just going to talk about. Well, the wild pitch in the dirt all the way to the backstop. Rosales scores. It is 2-0.
I guess that's one of the perils of being a knuckleball pitcher when you do get a man on third base. You can't say, well, I'll go to my fastball now, because you really don't have a fastball. You have to keep throwing the knuckleball, and there's the risk that it's not an easy pitch for the catcher to catch. Swihart had been doing a great job. He just wasn't able to get that one. The Rangers sneak a run in with it.
Now 2-1 to Choo. And even with the assist from Todd Tishner's right leg, deflected that ball. Couldn't keep it around home plate. Down the left field line, Holt in pursuit, sliding. Wow. In foul territory, he came up with it.
What a catch.
What a catch by Brock Holt. In foul territory down the left field line.
That's got to be the top of the highlight reel at the end of these games. Look at that play.
My goodness. Well, the Rangers gone. They do score a run on a hit. Nobody left after 3. Rangers 2, Red Sox nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Yovani Gallardo now with a couple of runs to protect. Has a 2-0 lead, going to work against Hanley Ramirez, middle third of the Red Sox order here in the fourth inning. And as always, joining us here at home, fourth and fifth innings, Mark McLemore. Mac, nice to see Josh Hamilton get that one out of the ballpark, wasn't it?
Very nice to see.
Would you have written a script to have that done last night, the home run last night, and the double tonight, or
definitely the home run last night?
Yeah, I would have.
In the very first at bat. That's what I was expecting last night, but not surprising at all. Josh is a great player, as we've seen for many years, and it's good to see him back on this side getting it done.
And Ramirez gets sawed off completely and just shovels it into right field for a leadoff single. And it's appropriate that we have the doctor of defense up here, because that play that ended the bottom of the third inning, Brock Holt, here's a converted infielder playing outfield for you.
That's a nice play, and that's a very difficult play, especially for a converted infielder, and this is not his home ballpark. So going there knowing that the wall is coming, you're going to slide into it, run into it, whatever you're going to do, you have to make that commitment. And Holt made that commitment, and he knew he needed to get down instead of going head first for it. Great concentration. You saw it right there. Eyes focused on it, stayed with it, slid right into the wall just as he planned. So that's a very difficult play, but a great play.
That could be the one tonight, Buzz.
It could be, Tom. You're right. You're right. We haven't had many of those this year yet. We're working on it. Mike Napoli up there. Napa strikeout in the second inning. Gallardo checking first, and this is outside. I want to remind folks, speaking of the one, what Fox Sports Live tonight.
That's where you can see the one.
On Fox Sports 1, that's right. Right after our post-game show. Gallardo ahead of the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Napoli at 209 with the average. Napa, of course, a Ranger in 2011 and 12. Had a couple of very solid, productive years here in Arlington. Now the 1-2. There goes Ramirez, and the pitch fouled out of play. Hanley Ramirez trying to swipe a bag, and he'll have to go back to first. Red Sox team as a whole don't employ the stolen bases, a big weapon, very often, but Ramirez has always had good speed. Maybe not as good now as it was, but still pretty good.
Yeah, back-to-back years. Back in 06 and 07, where he stole 51 bases.
Yeah, I think in that situation there was more of a let me catch him off guard kind of a deal. Maybe Gallardo was going to give him a high leg kick. Mm-hmm. He's just not that kind of base stealer anymore.
Yeah, it took him about 6.5 seconds on that ground ball of Adrian last night in the first inning.
Strong wind blowing in.
That might have had something to do with effort as much as what's your speed.
No, I think he was running uphill.
Napoli settling back in. Yovani Gallardo reading the signs. And the right-hander picks one out. A little bit low, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yovani kind of slowing things down in this inning. He had been working at a pretty good pace, and now all of a sudden, after a couple foul balls, taking a little more time in between pitches. Just missed the outside corner that time.
Now, Buzz, what causes a pitcher to do that? You'll see him working with nobody on. He's going at a quick pace. and then all of a sudden somebody gets on, whether it's a walk, a hit, or whatever, somebody's on base, and then their whole tempo just slows down.
Yeah, I don't really understand that, Matt, to be quite honest. The only thing I can come up with is the guy's thinking about too many different things. Instead of just getting the ball and throwing it. There goes Ramirez, the pitch fouled off. Instead of just getting the ball, knowing what you want to do, getting that sign and going to it, hey, guys are trying to go through a mental checklist, and what about the runner? Do I need a slide step here? Do I need to make him stop before I pitch, and all those things? Instead of, all that thinking should be done before you ever accept the sign. But at least that's my opinion.
Yeah, you just see it time and time again. You can see them up there thinking, smoke's coming out of their ears. Like, what's going on? Just get it and throw that pitch.
Pitch is high and tight, and that'll put 2 aboard with nobody out. I don't have the statistics to back it up, but it seems like guys work themselves into a big hole doing that. You get one guy on, and all of a sudden you turn around and you get 2 guys on real quick, and then a base hit, and you're down by a run, and it just, you give it a chance to fester and to magnify the significance of having one guy on. It's crazy. Well, Brock Holt up there. Holt grounded out to third his first time up. Rangers expecting a sacrifice, or at least deploying as if they want to defend it. Holt, a .296 average. No bunt shown here. Chopper right back to Gallardo. Low throw, and Alberto can't come up with it. Everybody's safe on Gallardo's throwing error. Well, Giovanni got exactly the ball he wanted. Right back to him, plenty of time to turn 2, and he just made a bad throw. Didn't shift his feet and make a strong, accurate throw.
Yeah, it looked like he tried to rush it. Got plenty of time. Yeah, that hurts. A little dinky blooper, a walk, and a ground ball back to the pitcher. Ends up bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah, that was a foot problem. See, Gallardo, and we'll show you that again here in just a minute, but when you're throwing up the slope and you step towards second, your foot comes down sooner than you're accustomed to, and it makes you dig the ball into the ground short. You've got to know that's going to happen and shorten up your throw a little bit, step out far enough to where you get your balance. And Giovanni wasn't able to do that. So base is full. Xander Bogaerts is the hitter. Bogaerts 0 for 1 with a ground ball to first. And he shoots one to right field. Chu going back, reaches up, makes the catch. Tagging at third, coming in to score, Hanley Ramirez. Napoli tags at second and moves to third. And the sacrifice fly cuts the Ranger lead in half. It's now a 2-1 Ranger advantage.
Xander Bogaerts got the job done. Got a pitch up out over the plate. Nice fly ball to the opposite field. Chu made a nice play going back on that ball. He was kind of a little shallow, but got back in time to make the play. Got it back into the infield.
No, now runners at the corner. Still just one out. Blake Swihart. We had a soft line drive to center his first time. Will step in. Swihart, the switch hitting catcher. And Gallardo will drive Holt back with a toss. 215 the average for the 23-year-old. 6 runs driven in. Gallardo to the plate instead to first. Mitch Moreland over there holding the bag against Brock Holt. Holt 1 stolen base in his only attempt. in 2015. He's on the move. The pitch is lined to left and is down the line, a fair ball. Napoli will score. On around to third goes Holt. And a pretty nice job of hitting by Blake Swihart, taking that ball the other way for the RBI single. It's a brand new ball game. We're tied at 2.
Hits the outside pitch, tailing away from him, hits it on a line. Pitch out of the strike zone. Runner running on the play. Just change spots. Still first and third and one out with a run in. Let's go back to that ground ball back to the pitcher. That turns into a double play. He's sitting on the bench right now with no runs scored.
Yep. Rusney Castillo is now up there. He takes the first pitch for strike 1. Castillo grounded a hit to right field his first time up. Now hitting with Holt at third, Swihart at first. Backs out and checking with third base coach Ryan Butterfield to see what might be in the works. 250 the average for Castillo. One ball and one strike. Alberto wondering what happened to that call.
Wow. Well, we've seen that called quite a bit lately, but not on that one.
You know, that's tough on hitters and pitchers. You know, when you get in a pitch called on you, if it's down or if it's up, in or out, you expect the next time you throw it there that it's going to be called the same way, whether you're pitching or whether you're hitting. And then when it's not, it just messes you up completely because now you're like, okay, now where do I throw it?
Exactly. Chop foul, a ball and 2 strikes. And that's all. I would think more guys get mad at umpires, not for the calls they make, but the inconsistencies of the calls they make. You know, if you call a pitch a strike or a ball, fine. Just make sure that's always a strike or a ball. And I think inconsistency in that is what leads to most arguments.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, hitting, you know, if that umpire is calling pitches down, okay, call it down.
Right.
But then you can't call the high one either. That was at least my opinion. If you're calling in, okay, you can't call the outside one either. I mean, if you're calling a little off the plate, okay, but you can't call, you know, on that inside corner or in either. So that was my philosophy. So that's what I would have arguments with umpires occasionally, not too often, once or twice a week, but just the consistency. I mean, that's what gets it done, and you have an idea. Okay, I need to swing at that.
Yeah.
And if he calls it and I don't swing and I take it, there's not a whole lot I can say or do about it because I know that's his zone.
There's the double play that they will turn over. 4-6-3, and that ends the 4th inning. But Red Sox come back to tie it. They get 2 runs on 2 hits, a big error, and 1 man left. 2-2 the score. Charlie Howard. Ranger Hall of Famer. Throwing that knuckleball back in the 80s for the Rangers.
He just struck out Bobby Grich and Don Baylor and Oscar Gamble. Oh, Oscar didn't strike out. That was only strike 2.
Got him on the next pitch.
That's crazy. That just didn't even move. No rotation whatsoever.
Yeah. Charlie he was something at that thing. Boy, he make that dance. He could change speeds with it and change how it broke most of the time. Well, a 2-2 game now as the Red Sox come back to tie it with a little help from the Rangers. Prince fielder Adrian Beltre and Josh Hamilton. Right in the middle of that Ranger order. Due up here to face Stephen Wright. Off the end of the bat. And Wright able to throw out fielder. One gone. Second time Prince is grounded out to the mound. That could be Adrian Beltre.
You know, there are a lot of fans that think hitting this knuckleball is easy because it's going so slow. It's not easy. It is not easy because your timing is definitely not at that speed, not at 65 miles an hour, or even 60. It's not. You're used to, you know, something 85 to 95. But look at that. See, that's not a normal just drop. It's moving side to side as it's going down as well. It'll run to the left, it'll run to the right. And most knuckleballers that I've talked to don't really have an idea which way it's going to break.
Yeah.
Now, Charlie was a little different. He knew he could control his a lot better than most guys. But most knuckleballers, they just know it's going to break. They just don't know exactly where.
Again, some crazy spin coming off the dirt too, off the turf. Pretty hard hit ball, but Bogart's a shortstop has it. And there are 2 gone. Yeah, I think Charlie told me he had an idea which way it was supposed to move when he released it. You know, he said, I can, by the way I hold it and how I release it, I can make it generally move that way. But said, you know, some I just don't. There's no clue. Don't know which way it's going to move. Don't really care.
Just as long as it moves.
That's right. Here's Josh. A home run, his first time up, his first home run since coming back to the Rangers. Takes a strike here.
Tom, how'd you do against knuckleballers?
I used to face Wilbur Wood, you know, 2 or 3 times a year. He was a left-handed knuckleballer. And, you know, some days you'd have a decent day, other days you wouldn't. And it basically boiled down to what kind of knuckleball did you see. And if it danced, you were going to have a bad day. Just as simple as that. You can't hit it. But occasionally you'd have one that just kind of spun up there and stayed straight. You might get a base hit against him. I don't remember. I don't think I ever faced Phil Niekro. And I think Wilbur Wood might probably the only knuckleball pitcher that I faced. Wow. I remember one day Charlie was pitching against Oakland, and he had a mediocre knuckleball, and Jose Canseco hit 4 of the most ungodly ropes off him. You just knew he was going to hit it too. It didn't matter what the knuckleball did. Jose had his number that day.
There's number 2 coming up. Way back. Goodbye.
I think Josh has figured the knuckleball out.
I think so.
I think he likes it. Why am I not surprised?
One advantage Josh might have just watching him swing against that knuckleball, he's got the quickest bat, and he may be able to wait just that extra split second to have a better idea where the knuckleball is. Most guys don't have that luxury, but not many guys have a bat that quick.
Well, a pair of Josh Hamilton home runs. The Rangers back out in front, 3-2.
That one started in the top of the strike zone and stayed in the top of the strike zone. The guy that's seen the knuckleballs today is Mitch. The ones he's seeing, that one went sideways, but a couple of the ones he's seen have looked like they started out about waist high and ended up in the dirt. That one started up about waist high and stayed there until he hit it. He's having the knuckleball to the wrong guy today.
Yeah.
That must have been a fastball. 86.
What? Yeah, that are extremely hard knuckleball. If you throw a knuckleball 86. Mitch moving one to left center field. In a hurry, Mookie Betts, who's there to capture it, and that'll do it. But Josh Hamilton does it again. Twice tonight he has gone deep. This one a solo shot. The Rangers back out in front as we head to the fifth, 3-2. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among mid-sized cars. A beautiful night out here at Globe Life Park. Rangers leading 3-2. And Giovanni Gallardo back to work at the top of the order. And Dustin Pedroia takes strike one. Josh Hamilton, a pair of solo home runs tonight. Off the knuckleball, Stephen Wright throwing it up there. And Josh leaving the yard with two of them. A ball and a strike to Pedroia, who is 1 for 2. Mentioned that hitting streak for Pedroia now has reached 9 ball games. He's gone 15 for 35, I'd say. And let's take a look at our T-Mobile game changer, talking about Dustin Pedroia. 429 in his current 9-game streak. A 160 average the previous 6 games. So I think the second baseman for the Red Sox kind of got it going. That's what prompted the change to the leadoff spot, too. That was 7 games ago. So just after that, the streak started for Pedroia. But he might be a good guy to get up there at the top of the order. We need some sparks, and he has provided them. The 3-1 pitch. Sharply hit, but blocked nicely by Gonzalez. 1 out.
Rosie's getting some hard hit balls the last couple of nights his way.
He had that one surrounded, though. That ball was not going to get by him unless it went through him. Now Mookie Betts will be next with the bases empty. Betts, fly ball to center and a strikeout. 247 average. Gallardo's pitch to him is a little bit low and outside for ball 1. 75 pitches at the moment for Gallardo. 47 strikes, 28 balls. Two-0. Giovanni gave up a walk in the first and retired the next 5 that he faced. Gave up a couple of hits, consecutive hits in the third, but stranded both of them. And he kind of opened the floodgates himself for the Red Sox in the 4th inning. Leadoff base hit followed by a walk, and then the error, the crucial error, the comebacker by Brock Holt that Gallardo had a chance to turn into a double play and threw it into the ground. And everybody was safe. That set up the 2 runs on the sac fly and the single. There's a strike here. It's now 3-1 to Betts. Gallardo back to the plate. And a chopper wide of third. The Red Sox coming into play today were 11th in the American League with 188 runs scored. 12th in batting average at 242. Very much a disappointment for Boston fans. Pretty well hit to center field. Leonis Martin going back, still going back at the wall, reaches up and makes the catch as he goes into the paddock. Nice play by Leonis Martin, who had that measured as he got back to the track.
Betts hit that ball pretty well. If he hits that ball in Boston, he's got a home run. Betts has hit 5 home runs already. Looked like he might have had another one right there. Good look at Martin going right up against the wall and making the play. Big guy in center field was ready if it did go over the fence.
So a long out, 2 away. Here's Pablo Sandoval.
It's a lot harder than it looked there. Knowing that you're going to run into the wall, that's tough to keep that concentration, catch the ball, because sometimes you're thinking, do I need to jump? Do I need to jump? No, don't jump. Yes, jump. You just don't know sometimes. But Martin took a look about 20 feet away from the wall, so he timed it and he knew exactly how much room he had.
2-0 the count to Sandoval.
I remember playing Detroit. I've told this before, but I'll tell it again. Mike Hargrove was playing left field, and we had a center fielder named Dave Moats, and there's a long fly ball to left. And in Old Tiger Stadium, you could actually jump up on the fence. There was like a little ledge that you could jump on where there was a pad. And Dave Moats comes running over on the fly ball, and he's screaming at Mike, "You got to get up! You got to get up!" And Mike jumps up on that ledge, reaches up to catch it, and the ball landed in the middle of the warning track. Oh, man. He wanted to kill Motor.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, there used to be a picture of Mickey Stanley, the Tigers,
on that ledge,
up on that ledge, catching a ball right there by the flagpole.
Wow, that's a long one there.
So, yeah.
That's, I think it was 440 there to center field.
Yeah,
that was just a little to the left of it.
Right.
Probably 420 or so.
Yeah, he made somebody really mad with that. 3-2 the count to Sandoval. Got him swinging. Gallardo comes back for a 3-0 count, gets the punch out, and it turns into a 1-2-3 inning. We played half the ball game at Globe Life Park. It's the Rangers 3 and the Red Sox 2. on Sunday, June 14th. The first 15,000 fans will get an Elvis Andrus stolen base gnome. That's courtesy of Coca-Cola. Visit TexasRangers.com or you can call 972-RANGERS for tickets. Well, the Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning. It'll be the bottom third of the order. Robinson Chirinos, Adam Rosales, and Hanser Alberto. First ball swinging. It's popped up into shallow center. Got a trio of Red Sox out there, and it's Bogaerts, the shortstop, making the call on the catch. One gone. And before Adam Rosales steps in, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. I wonder if he's going to demand that the shift be taken away. Probably not. Adam Rosales doubled and scored in the 3rd inning. He had that leadoff double.
Buzz, I just got a text from Bill Ziegler, who was the trainer on our team back when Mike Hargrove was playing, and he reminded me that the night before that play happened, where Dave Moats told him to jump up on the fence, the picture that you're talking about of Mickey Stanley is in the Lindell AC, the little hangout where you go get a beer and a cheeseburger. Yeah. Mike saw that picture the day before. So when Motor said you got to get up, he had seen the picture, and that's what he was trying to do.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Pablo Sandoval, a nice play to throw out Adam Rosales for the second out.
They used to have the best cheeseburger in the league there.
Yeah.
The grilled onions on it. Yeah. We used to go there after every game. We wouldn't eat in the clubhouse and just store up your appetite for the Lindell AC. Alex Karras was one of the part owners there. He used to be in there every now and then. That was a great bar, great baseball bar. No telling who you might see in that place.
Hanser Alberto swinging at the first pitch, and he grounds out to his counterpart, Andrew Bogaerts. It's a quick 1-2-3 inning. We finished 5 innings, and the Rangers lead at 3-2. Mac, thanks for joining us. We'll see you after the ball game on Rangers Live. All right, folks.
A Tom Grieve. What do we have?
It's Tom Grieve, right?
Tom
here.
Grieve jersey. Who could it be? Hey, it's Fritz Dykert, our social media guru of Fox Southwest. How in the world do you get a Tom Grieve jersey?
You know, Tag was kind enough to bring this out for me today for Jersey Day in Texas, and I'm rocking it, and everybody's eating it up. They want to buy it off my back. I mean, come on, Tom Grieve.
This could be a hot-selling item. Now, Tom, I got a couple of questions. There's a blood stain right there. Do you remember where that happened, when that happened?
No, you know, the funny thing about that uniform, Jim, is back then the uniforms were handed down to the minor leaguers in spring training. So I wore that during the season in 1972, but who knows how many minor leaguers wore that in spring training for the years after that. They used to put a patch over the name.
Also some eye black, maybe a Sharpie. Sharpie signing some autographs, maybe. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, well, there you go.
One thing about that one, that isn't original. That's an actual uniform.
That is a nice one. I think they need to start selling these at Majestic Gift Shop. And what do we, you have a jersey on, so what happens next, Fritz?
I think you just, if you got a jersey on, tweet us at FS Southwest. Instagram your jerseys. Let us know what you got on.
I was thinking more like a Buzz dinner for you.
Oh, you're Buzz. You do owe me dinner.
Wait a minute,
I'll be expecting it on Monday, Sunday, whenever's best for you. I'm open all week long.
There we go.
This went from lunch to dinner. How's that working?
At least you're getting to take someone out that you know. It won't be a stranger.
Yeah, well, that's good news and bad news. Okay, got to do it.
I think he'd just buy him dinner up in the press dining room. That'd be the easiest
That'd be
thing.
a good idea. Yeah. Well, Henry Ramirez starts off this inning by skying to center field. So one away. Here's Mike Napoli, who's walked and scored and struck out. 0 for 1 tonight. Mike must have left some tickets for some folks in that section. He's fouled about 8 balls off over there.
Sure has.
I think everybody in that section has a souvenir now that they can take home.
Yeah, that section in front of us, to either side of us, depending on a left-hand hitter or right-hand hitter, that's prime foul ball territory.
Sure is.
Who's sitting in that little area right in front of the press box, right below the Globe Life Park in Arlington sign, that 5 or 6 rows right there. Bring your glove, because you have a shot.
1-1. Now 2-1. That's a club level right there. Yeah.
It's the Lexus club level right in front of us. In fact, if you catch one right in front of us, Buzz will buy you a new Lexus.
Wait a minute.
No, not really. Yeah. People took the dinner seriously. I don't want them to take the Lexus seriously. Yeah, people diving over rows of chairs to catch one.
Yeah. I can do to them what Whitey Herzog did to. Forgotten what pitcher it was. He promised him a Cadillac if they won the ball game. Won the ball game, and the next day he came in with a little miniature Cadillac.
I thought he was going to buy him a used one.
Yeah.
Knapp going for the downs on that one.
3-2 the count. 1 out, bases empty. And ball 4. And Napoli drawing another walk. He's had 2 of them tonight. Aboard with 1 out. Brock Holt will come up. 3rd walk issued by Gallardo, and Mike Maddox going to make a trip on out to the mound. Giovanni with 96 pitches. And while we have a minute here, we'd like to remind you that Texas Tech's University Day is on Wednesday. That's June 3rd. And a University Day ticket includes exciting Rangers baseball and a Texas Rangers cap in your school colors. The first 2,000 fans at the ballpark who purchase a Texas Tech Day ticket will receive the special Texas Tech themed Rangers cap. Visit TexasRangers.com/UDays to get your tickets and see a lineup of the University Days this season. John Edwards up and loosening in the Ranger bullpen. A 1-on, 1-out. Holt has reached on a fielder's choice and grounded to third. Giovanni all of a sudden losing a little bit of command of the strike zone that he had earlier. Hold a 293 average. Gallardo checks Napoli at first and will drive him back with a toss. Brock Holt this year much better against right-handed pitchers than left-handers. The 319 average as opposed to a 240 average against southpaws. Takes that pitch in and over for a strike. Infield looking for that round ball double play. Rangers turned 5 of them last night. They already have one here this evening. That pitch just missed the outside corner. 2-1. And Holt, the kind of guy that you might want to put a hit and run on with. John Farrell, the Red Sox skipper, has already put runners in motion one time tonight. Two and two. Hold back in. Gallardo studying the signs. Got him swinging. Here's that cutter down and in. And Gallardo with a very big strikeout, his 5th of the night. 2 gone.
Came back with one of the better pitches he's made tonight. Perfectly located. Probably wouldn't have been called a strike, although it could have been. At an excellent location. A location where the hitter can't do anything with it, and it's tempting enough to make him swing.
Xander Bogaerts now stepping in. Bogaerts 0 for 1 with a sacrifice fly. 266 average. And a little tardy with that swing. It is 0-1.
Two of his best pitches. Cutter and a good 91-mile-an-hour fastball right on the outside corner. 102 pitches, probably his last inning. Giovanni going to give it everything he's got left and finish strong. Make sure this ends up a 3-2 game at the end of 5.5 innings.
Rangers shifted around in the infield pretty well to the left. There's several steps that way, and pretty good sized hole on the right side between Mitch Moreland and Adam Rosales. Probably see Gallardo with that defense, and now they're going to move Rosales over a little bit. Just as I was going to say that, it kind of limits what you can throw to a right-handed hitter with that kind of alignment. Bogaerts certainly has the ability to hit the ball the other way, like that. Diving stop by Rosales. He gets up and throws him out. Well, it's a good thing he moved over those 2 steps.
He needed every inch.
Yes, he did. A great play by Adam Rosales, and Giovanni Gallardo and the Rangers are out of danger in the 6th inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left, thanks to Rosales and a great play. 5.5 in the books. Rangers by 1. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $1,000 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during the inning, Philip Mays from Richardson will win $1,000. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam in this inning, Philip Mays will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. And Philip, I'm sorry you don't get anything for a bunt base hit, but the Rangers get the...
Might be laying the groundwork, though, for the bases loaded.
Exactly. Get their leadoff man aboard. It was Martin now back in the leadership role.
He bunted that ball right off the end of the bat and deadened it about halfway between home plate and the pitcher's mound, kind of out in no man's land. And neither the pitcher nor Swihart could make a play on it.
No, Leonis with his fourth bunt base hit of the year. Aboard, Shin-Soo Choo at the plate. 1 ball, no strikes.
We've been talking about Charlie Huff a lot because there aren't a lot of knuckleball pitchers to talk about. But the other thing Charlie felt was very important was to have a pretty good pickoff move to try to hold the runners, because the knuckleball is a slower pitch. It's not always easy for the catcher to handle it cleanly to make a throw on a stolen base. So he had to depend on keeping the runners close to give the pitcher a good chance.
And
he had that little move. They used to call it a balk move. What did he do? He bent his front knee.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it'd be the front knee, sometimes it'd be the back knee. There'd be a little jerk in there that it would look to a runner like he was going to make the delivery to the plate. Boy, he had runners and coaches screaming at the umpires every time he did that. And Stephen Wright has a pretty good quick move to first himself, but good quick feet. He makes that short snap throw over there with his feet in position very quickly. 1 ball, no strikes to Shin-Soo Choo, who is 0 for 2 tonight. There goes Martin, pitches high. The throw is in time. They got him. Boy, that is a quick release by Blake Swihart. My goodness.
Yeah, he's got some arm strength, too. He fired that thing to second base. I didn't think Leonis had necessarily a great lead or a great jump. And Swihart caught the knuckleball and delivered it to second base in a hurry with something on it, boy.
Well, the caught stealing base is empty now with 1 out. The strike to Choo makes it 2-1. Shin-Soo is struck out and then fouled out to Brock Holt in left field. 2-2. Right back to the plate. And we'll try it again. Choo entered play tonight, second in the American League for the month of May in extra base hits. Ooh, he had a knuckleball that stayed up for him, and that's the one you were talking about, Tom, that if you get one up there, you better not miss it.
Yeah.
Maybe the only one you see.
Boy, every one of those has been up except for one way down below the strike zone. Been up and out of the strike zone.
There's a harder variety of knuckleball. 3-2. And ball 4 puts Choo aboard. That is the first walk issued by Stephen Wright tonight. 1 on, 1 out. And Chris Fielder coming up. Carl Willis, the pitching coach, is going to head out to the mound and slow things down a little bit. Give the bullpen an opportunity to heat up. Tommy Lane, who we saw last night, getting ready for, you would figure, Josh Hamilton if it gets that far. Right? Saying, okay, nodding in agreement. What Carl Willis was telling him. Prince tonight twice has tapped back to the mound. And our Ford leaderboard tonight showing you the leaders in the American League. And Prince right there at the top, leading everyone with 70 base hits. Kipnis of the Indians second at 67. Prince leading in most offensive categories for the month of May in the American League. Right, ready. Chu, a small lead at first. Little tapper down the third baseline. It's going to roll foul.
That would have been beautiful.
Prince has had such a tough time putting the ball in play at the middle. He's, well, I'll try it the other way. See how much room there is over there.
Yeah, he could hit a little ground ball down the third baseline, been first and third.
Bogart's the shortstop, and he's shading him up the middle. So there's got to be 80 feet between Bogarts and the foul line. Plus, he's back at a normal double play or normal depth. Going that way again, sliced down the left field line, but it's slicing a little too much.
You know, it's pretty amazing. Look, when you look at the shift they've got on, where Sandoval is playing. Sandoval is playing almost right directly behind Napoli. I don't think I've ever seen that alignment before. Definitely taking the hole away from him.
Yeah, if you're going to play that in a double play situation, you can't have a rover out there in shallow right. You'd have to bring him in.
Yeah, he's moved over a little bit now. He was much more toward the line than that the last time. Looks like Prince is definitely trying to go the other way with it.
Sure is.
He's seeing the hole there, and he's saying, fine, you want to give me that hole? I'm going to try to hit a ground ball or line drive right through that hole.
Wright came back with that high fastball. Prince able to foul it off, fight it off into foul territory. Still 0-2.
Still trying to do it, too.
John Farrell sticking with what the numbers say should happen. Fielder should roll over and pull this to the right side if he hits it on the ground. Another 0-2 pitch. But if Prince has anything to say about it, it's not going to be pulled.
Nope.
It's going to be the other way.
Yep. I mean, he's taken every swing. If he had made contact, they would go to the left side of the infield. And now they're going to put Sandoval back over there. At this stage of the game with a one-run lead, man on first, one out, you roll a ground ball there. He's got a great chance of being first and third. And John Farrell said, I've seen with the swing trying to go to the left side. I'm going to put Sandoval back over there.
That's right.
I pull this one by Knapp into right field. That'll really beat the shift.
1-2.
That's some strategy going on.
Yeah.
You see the guy shift in the middle of an at bat like that, depending on the count and the swing that the hitter's taking.
Well, the shift is not an overshift, but they're shifted around to the right pretty well. And there's a base hit the other way.
I'll tell you what, that's a plan, and that's some execution right there, boy. That's what he was doing on every single pitch. He tapped a couple back to the mound, way out in front of him, and he just said to himself in that at bat, I'm waiting, and I'm hitting it to left field. I don't care what the count is, what they throw me. And he fouled off 3 or 4, and eventually a guy having a great season with a plan came through and did exactly what he was trying to do. That's a thing of beauty right there.
Yeah, there are a couple of different ways to look at that. The shift did its part in that it made Prince Fielder do something that he doesn't normally do, and that's get away from the power swing. But at the same time, he beat the shift with that swing. And, depending on which you value more.
Well, if he'd gotten that ball up a little bit, he was going to left field, but they wouldn't have precluded.
That ball is hit well to right field, but it's playable out there for Castillo. Chu will tag at second and advance to third. The Rangers now with 2 outs. They have runners at the corners excuse me, and Josh Hamilton is coming up. The question is, will he face Stephen Wright? And the answer is no.
Doesn't look like it.
Second visit of the inning, and this is John Farrell going out with a hook. He will take Stephen Wright back to the dugout with him. And you're going to have Tommy Lane come on to face Josh Hamilton with runners at first and third and 2 outs here in the 6th inning. So a pitching change underway. Rangers on top 3-2 and looking for more with Josh at the plate. We'll be back right after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest.
Back up at the plate. He has already had 2 home runs tonight, and perhaps no player feeds off of a crowd and fan support more than Josh Hamilton. So last night, getting that first big base hit in his first appearance here in Arlington had to be huge, and you've got to think that the 2 home runs here tonight will only add to that confidence. And guys, you've got to think really the perfect scenario for Josh in his first 2 games here to feel the love from the fans and let him feed off of it.
Oh, good points, Emily, and he's got to feel pretty good, too, about facing Tommy Lane, against whom he had a base hit last night and drove in a run. Our Coors Light cold hard fact for you. Talking about Josh Hamilton, 2 home runs tonight. His first multi-home run game since July of 2013 in Chicago. Hits this one off the end of the bat down to Sandoval. And Lane tonight gets Hamilton to ground out. The Rangers leave runners at the corners. A couple of hits, 2 men are left. We're going to the 7th. It's the Rangers 3 and the Red Sox 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Guess who? Josh Hamilton. His solo home run in the second inning got the Rangers on the board. Some nice defense. Brock Holt sliding to take the foul ball from Shin-Soo Choo's bat. And there's that man again, Josh Hamilton with home run number 2. Fourth inning. And the Rangers added one more in between to take a 3-2 lead. And we go to the 7th inning. John Edwards, the Keller product, is on the hill. Blake Swihart, the catcher, leading things off. Edwards against the Cleveland Indians on Wednesday. Worked an inning, gave up a hit, had a couple of strikeouts. Facing Swihart here, who is 1 for 2 tonight. Good fastball right down through there. 2-1. John, a 27-year-old at Keller High School, signed by the Cardinals as a position player and outfielder. Tried that line of work for about 4 years. Decided to try and convert to pitching and went to the Independent League. And, finally, the Rangers gave him an opportunity, and here he is. Leadoff walk to Swihart puts one on for Rusney Castillo.
It's going to quick visit from Mike Maddox after that walk.
Our Kubota power stats. Giovanni Gallardo tonight. 6 innings of work, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts in his last 2 starts, and that's after 8 strikeouts in his previous 4 altogether. So Giovanni getting things together for himself. A very solid outing tonight. Leaves with that 3-2 lead, and now it's up to the bullpen. Rusney Castillo is 1 for 2 tonight. Hit a single in the 3rd inning. Grounded into a double play in the 4th. And that's what John Edwards would love to see right here. 1 ball, no strikes. John was nothing short of sensational at AAA. Time he spent down there, he had a 115 earned run average, 13 saves and 17 appearances at Round Rock. That misses. 2 balls, no strikes. Big right-hander comes set and gets the inside corner.
And he threw the slider on 2-0 to make sure he threw a strike. And make him hit him.
Skag pitch tracker showing you a couple of those down there at the bottom. We're pretty close, but not quite. Castillo a .238 batting average. Swihart a short lead at first. On the outside corner, another slider from John Edwards. 2-2. No, good adjustment for him. And having trouble with the fastball command. Get yourself to throw a breaking ball in the strike zone and get that release point back. There goes Swihart. Grounded sharply to Rosales. He goes to the bag himself and fires on to first, a double play.
He's kind of fumbling the ball. Another hard hit smash, and rather than take a chance on the flip, he just took it himself. Got the strong arm from second base, that overhand bullet that he throws. A little trouble getting the handle on it, but he picks it up, takes it himself, and turns it. That'll take care of the leadoff walk. John Edwards says thank you very much.
Certainly will. No, Adam Rosales, that's not in the how-to manual to do it that way.
No,
but
that's just getting it done.
That's getting it done. That's exactly right. The bottom line. Dustin Pedroia takes outside for ball 1. Pedroia 1 for 3 tonight. Average at 298. Edwards back to him. 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, John's thrown 12 pitches, 8 balls and 4 strikes, but he's got 2 outs and nobody on. All it took was that one big double play ball. Hard hit ball, too, by Castillo.
There's a strike.
I think most of the strikes that John's thrown have been his slider. Hasn't been able to get his fastball over.
I think you're right.
But nice to have a pitch to go to if your fastball is not locating right.
Check swing, and he went around, according to Todd Tishner, the home plate umpire. 2-2. Pedroia back in there after adjusting the batting gloves. Edwards to the wind, the 2-2 pitch. Call strike 3. And Pedroia shaking his head. He's just about ready to get run out of here. The strikeout by Edwards ends the inning. We'll take the stretch in Arlington with the Rangers leading 3-2. And the conversation will continue. John Farrell getting in between Tishner and Pedroia to keep his second baseman in the game. And now we will join Chuck Morgan here at the Globe Live Park as he introduces God Bless America.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise as we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the world. The Texas Rangers invite everyone in Globe Live Park to join in singing God Bless America.
Park. Just enter Dr. Pepper as the coupon code at TexasRangers.com/specials, or you can bring any Dr. Pepper can to the ballpark for savings of at least 25%. Most Sundays through Thursday home games. It's a perfect way to watch the Rangers take on the White Sox Monday through Thursday. Alexi Ogando, very familiar face to Ranger fans over the years. Alexi toiling here in a Ranger uniform, his 19th appearance for the Red Sox. Signed with the Bostons over the offseason as a free agent. And Mitch Moreland drives one to center field and deep. Going back as Betts is off the top of the wall. He gets the ball back in quickly, and sliding in with a booming double to center is Mitch Moreland.
Well, Gondo's having a pretty good year for the Red Sox. He's been hurt by the home run. He's given up 3 home runs. He almost gave up another one there to Mitch. Mitch just didn't hit it high enough, but he hit a bullet over Betts' head, and Betts makes a beautiful play to make it a fairly close play at second base. He plays it off the wall, throws it like a shortstop back to second base. Betts has got some pretty good instincts in center field.
Mitch happy to see a ball that didn't dance all over the place.
Yeah, got something straight.
Didn't care how much velocity it had. He just wanted to see something that was the same plane. So the leadoff double. Now Ogando will face Robinson Chirinos. Red Sox have both cornermen, Napoli and Sandoval, up in front of the cut of the grass. Expecting a bunt here from Chirinos. He is around a bunt and gets it down, but it drifts off into foul territory. We'll come back and try it at 0-1.
Well, as close as Napoli is at first base, you could almost bunt one toward him and slap at it and bunt it right by him.
Yeah.
Look where he is. He's charging in. It doesn't take much to get it by. You have to be like a hockey goalie to knock it down if you bunted it hard.
He could be more than 45 feet from home plate when the ball's put in play.
No.
Yeah, he's going to sneak in again to get a kind of a moving start coming down that line.
You don't want to bunt it to him anyway. With a man on second, you want to bunt it to the third baseman. Make him field it. Unless the wheel plays on, then you get an automatic sacrifice. Third baseman has to come in to field it, and there's no one at third base to take a throw.
Ogando checking at second. Yeah, pickoff play is on, and just getting back
too close
underneath.
Too close for comfort right there.
Well, Bogarts, a well-timed play by both Bogarts and Ogando. And John Farrell said, okay, we want to check that. So he got the word from upstairs that the replay showed reason to issue the challenge. And we'll take a look ourselves. To the naked eye, it looked pretty close, and from that angle, it looks, well, not really all that close. Looked like he got him.
And Bogart's right in front of the bag, kind of blocking Mitch's path back to the bag. It looked like that one's got a chance of being overturned.
Sure does. Tim Welke, the crew chief, along with Mike Everett, the third base umpire, with the headsets on, hooked up to the replay command center in New York.
Mitch is trying to get as good a jump as he can to beat the play at third. But if Robinson executes the bunt, then you don't have to worry about it because there's not going to be nobody at third base. If you bunt the ball to the third baseman, you don't have to get a big jump or be a fast runner to get to third base because there's going to be no one there to catch a throw anyway.
And they are going to overturn it. The evidence was clear and convincing to the folks in New York. And Mitch Moreland is called out on the pickoff. Well, that removes the leadoff double. One away now. And a count of no balls and one strike to Chirinos. Chopper by the dive of Sandoval down the line. Chirinos, a big turn at first, is going to hang on. And Holt got to that ball very quickly.
Yeah, Holt's an athlete, boy. We've seen him play. He can probably play any position on the field. He's played shortstop, so you know he can play all the infield positions. He's got some speed. Really gets to this ball quickly. He's an aggressive little player. He had 400 at bats for the Red Sox last year. And one of those very valuable utility guys that can put a good at bat up there for you and play anywhere on the field.
So Ogando's given up a double and a single. He's got a runner at first and one out. Adam Rosales takes outside for ball one. Rosales a double as he led off the third inning. Came in to score the second Ranger run of the night. Alexi, the 31-year-old, misses high and away. Alexi from San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic. Swihart throwing the sign down back there, and Ogando to the plate. 3 balls, no strikes. Tony Beasley going through the series of signs down there, letting Robinson, Chirinos know, and Adam Rosales know exactly what Jeff Bannister wants to do on this 3-0 pitch. Right on the outside corner, 3-1. Ogando with the Rangers from the outset of his career, after he originally was an outfielder with Oakland. With Chirinos on the move, Rosales pops it into shallow right center field. Mookie Betts able to make that play, and that is out number 2. Chirinos back to first. And before answer Alberto comes up, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. Here's the 22-year-old Hanser Alberto. 0 for 1 officially in his major league debut. Had a sacrifice bunt in the third. Grounded to short in the 5th inning. Alberto recalled yesterday to take the place of Phil Klein on the roster. Foul straight back. 22-year-old Alberto won a Gold Glove last year as the best fielding shortstop in the minor leagues, not just at Double-A, in the entire minor leagues. Rawlings giving that defensive accolade. Hanser also was awarded the Rangers' top defensive minor league award. Round Rock this year, though, putting together some pretty impressive numbers, especially lately. He drives that one to deep left center field, up the alley, and off the wall. Around third comes Chirinos. He will score. Alberto smoking it into third, sliding with a triple, a run driven in, and his first major league hit. How about that?
That's pretty exciting. First major league hit, almost hit it right out of the ballpark into the Red Sox bullpen. He got a fastball to hit and drove it. That's one way to get the run in.
Well, the Rangers will make sure that ball is preserved and duly marked by the folks, the authenticators.
Pass ball inside part of the plate. He was ready for it.
Alberto, his first major league hit, a run-scoring triple. And that knocks Ogando right out of the ball game. So Ogando is removed from the game. And we've got another pitching change here at Globe Life Park. We'll take a timeout. We're coming back right after this. Lead. His first major league hit, a triple scoring Robinson Chirinos, and now Craig Breslow, left-hander, comes into the ball game to face Leonis Martin and throws strike one. Breslow, a 34-year-old Connecticut native, and a chopper to first is foul off the bat of Leonis. We'll come back and try it at 0-2. Breslow, a Yale graduate. He was voted the smartest man in baseball by the Wall Street Journal back in 2009.
Yeah, he's got some amazing degrees.
Yeah, he's got one degree in molecular biophysics, the other in biochemistry.
The smartest man in baseball.
Yep. Wall Street Journal named him that.
Everyone else is tied for the dumbest person in baseball. You and me included.
Yeah.
Well, me included, not you.
No, we're in the same boat as far as that goes. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nice stop by Swihart. 2-2 to Leonis Martin, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Andrew Alberto at third. And the ball safely authenticated and put into his locker by now, I would think. Breslow, a belt high set. Up the middle, into center field, a base hit. Alberto scores. Leonis Martin with the RBI single. The Rangers jump out in front 5-2.
A nice little rally. Looked like the potential run or runs in this inning would have been curtailed with a pickoff play at second base. The Rangers came right back and got a rally going. And with 2 outs, a triple and a single, that's a couple. Nice insurance runs. That ball right off the end of the bat, but found a hole. Alberto's happy. He drove one in and scored one in his first major league hit, first major league RBI, first major league run.
Yep, and he did. Shin-Soo Choo up there now, and he takes inside for ball 1. Choo 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. 4 out of 9 in his career against Craig Breslow. And the left-hander misses low. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Well, the 2 runs so far in this inning have been charged to Alexi Ogando. 2/3 of an inning for Ogando with 3 hits and 2 runs. They have both been of the earned variety. And Breslow missing outside, 3-0. Chu trying to extend this inning. Chris Fielder, Ranger DH, is waiting to be next. And a strike makes it 3-1. The Rangers now 5 runs on 9 hits this evening. Red Sox have been limited to 2 runs on 4 hits. Our Skag pitch tracker showing you that last one just at the bottom of the strike zone. Chu lost a fly ball to left. Long run in for Holt. Headed toward foul territory and couldn't quite get there in time. He was starting to slow up because he knew he was going into the wall territory.
Well, we see that kid's not afraid of the wall. He just couldn't get to that one. Where that wall juts out there, that's kind of scary territory. He's already shown he'll slide into the wall. Couldn't quite figure out how to get to that one.
Yep.
He's got people flying all over. The ball girl, the security guard, the corner came up. That guy's he's a feisty little player.
Yes, he is. And Chu chops that pitch foul. We'll try another 3-2 pitch. These are Alberto.
It's a day in his life he will never forget.
Breslow again ready. And Chu, a check swing, he went around. Well, Breslow gets the strikeout, but the Rangers come back with 2 runs on 4 hits. They leave 1. We're going to the 8th. Now the Rangers 5 and the Red Sox 2.
To the game. This is Lee and Robbie Banks celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Could have gone anywhere. Why the ballpark?
No place else we'd rather be. We just love the ballpark. We love getting to come here and watching Josh hit 2 home runs is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, what a wedding anniversary that is. Huh? All right, well, congratulations. Here's the bag of goodies. Anything, big plans after the game?
We're just going to go home and get out of the rain before it comes.
Sounds exciting. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the game. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Buzz?
All right, Noxie. Ross Ohlendorf, 32-year-old right-hander, now on his 5th, make that his 6th appearance of the year for the Rangers. Ohlendorf facing Mookie Betts to start things off. And Betts takes strike 1. Ross, the Austin native, Had some injury issues in spring training that made him unavailable at the end of the camp. He had to go to AAA and get himself back physically well and get his work in. He's been able to join the club now and become a very valuable member of that bullpen. Betts tonight 0 for 3. Takes that pitch high and away. It's 2-1. Betts with a strikeout and a couple of flyouts. Last time up, he made Leonis Martin go all the way back to the wall, bump into the padding to take his long fly ball, and he pounds one through the hole on the left side for a leadoff single. Well, Ross Ohlendorf growing up around cattle, and it would figure that the cow milking contest that Ohlendorf be paired against Wade Miley. And how about this? Ross on the right. Oh, he just completely blew the doors off, didn't he? No doubt about it.
That brings back memories of Farm and Ranch Day in the old days. Used to have an egg throwing contest, a 3-legged race, cow milking contest, a pig calling contest. Kenny Suarez used to win that every year. Hog calling contest. Fans used to love that day. Players did too. Glad they resurrected part of it for the cow milking contest. Seems like Jackie Brown used to win the cow milking contest.
Pablo Sandoval 0 for 2, a walk, a strikeout, and a pop out. Got Betts at first, and Sandoval now down in an 0-2 hole. And we understand Emily Jones has something she wants to find out. Em?
Well, I mean, I just want to know what a girl's got to do to bring back Farm and Ranch Day.
I think you probably have to appeal, maybe, I don't know, Chuck Morgan?
Chuck Morgan? Okay.
Good place to start anyway.
I mean, I think even if we just did the 3-legged race and the egg toss, it could add a whole new dynamic.
I agree.
I'm going to see what I can do.
I think some people have talked to Chuck in the past about Farm and Ranch Night, and maybe this is a step in that direction to see how the cow milking goes. Looked like there was a huge crowd around it.
Huge.
On the field and in the stands.
Yeah, and so many players came out to see it. That's what surprised me, is there was at least 10 guys from each team out to watch it. Yes,
well, it's almost like people think nowadays you can't get away with those kind of things, but players are players. They love those kind of contests.
Yeah. Any chance to act like a kid.
Exactly right.
Brings back field day memories when we were all in elementary school.
Sure, why not?
I'd be all up for it. I'd do a 3-legged race or an egg toss with someone.
The egg toss is always great.
For sure.
That was fun.
All right, we'll get to work on it.
Okay.
We could bring back Kenny Suarez for the hog calling contest. Old Timers Day, Old Timers Farm and Ranch Night.
There you go.
Now that is a stroke of marketing genius right there, Tom.
That would be. And you take the old timers against the current day players. Jackie Brown's feeling a little bit better. Had some serious surgery, but might be able to talk into coming back in for the cow milking contest.
Sandoval lofting a fly ball to left. Hamilton uncorks a strong throw to third just to make sure that Mookie Betts didn't have any ideas about advancing. Well, one gone. Hanley Ramirez now coming up.
You have to check the winner of the egg tossing contest, though. Every now and then a player might slip in a hard-boiled egg.
That's right.
So you gotta have testing afterwards.
The integrity of these games is of the utmost importance.
Players get tested nowadays for other things.
Let me tell you, I would crack every one of those eggs to make sure.
Well, you need an authenticator to handle the egg.
That's right.
I've got one right beside me.
Yep, there you go.
Sign him up. Arlington PD's finest.
Yep.
Yes. He can authenticate baseballs and eggs.
There's our authenticator in-house.
Jaime Ayala. And now he's very angry with me. But I will tell you one little interesting authenticator tidbit. You know it's a milestone when Jaime gets up out of the chair and he's eagerly awaiting the arrival of the baseball back into the camera well so he can document it. It's kind of fun sitting beside him to watch how he works. And he puts it in a special pocket in his backpack to make sure it's not mixed up with the others.
There you go.
Just a little insight for you.
Now, why do they authenticate those balls, Em?
Because they sell them in gift shops. So, you know, the Boston ones will get sent back to Boston, and then the ones here that are Ranger-centric will get put in our gift shop here, and then people can purchase an actual game-used baseball, and with it, it will tell you the exact situation that ball came from.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Ohlendorf missing low and outside. He's run the count to 2 balls and no strikes to Hanley Ramirez. 1 on, 1 out. Here in the top of the 8th inning, Ramirez 1 for 3 tonight. Scored the first Boston run back in the 4th inning. 7 of the 11 home runs, as you can see for him, have come on the road this year, including the one he hit here last night. That ball's hit well to right field. Chu is going back. He is at the wall. That ball is gone. Make that 8 of 12 for Hanley Ramirez on the road. A 2-run blast, and it's now a 5-4 Ranger lead.
Ramirez has been a good hitter. He's a lifetime 300 hitter. He's had years where he's hit 340. That ball jumps off his bat. He generates some power. Pitch away, and he goes away with it. Actually hit that ball slightly toward the end of the bat. Got enough of it, though.
Yes, he did. That is his 12th home run of the year. He is now driven in 26, and all of a sudden Mike Napoli comes up, representing the tying run in this game. He takes a strike from Ohlendorf.
I tried to catch it with his beer.
The 0-1 pitch. A ball and a strike. Napoli has walked twice tonight and struck out. 0 for 1 officially. He has scored a run. Ohlendorf into the line. Did he go around? Yes, he did. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Napoli wagging that bat back and forth. Chirinos sets that target down. And that's right where the pitch was, but Napoli would not offer. 2-2.
Napoli is usually among the league leaders in pitches seen per at bat. He's got great power. Pitchers pitch carefully to him. He's got a pretty good eye at the plate. He will strike out a little bit, but he'll also take his share of walks, 75 or 80 a year. Gives you a tough at bat up there.
Fastball, call, strike 3.
Red Sox have not liked those calls, but every time we look at the Fox tracks, it pretty much verifies Todd Tichenor's call. Even that pitch that Pedroia went berserk about was on the corner. This pitch to Napoli, that's all the way in the strike zone. Red Sox doing a little bit of whining up at the plate today. I mean, the pitch that Pedroia complained about, you would have thought that thing was a foot outside. And the pitch actually touched the corner of the plate. That's not even a borderline pitch to Napoli. That pitch is all the way in the strike zone.
So 2 outs now, and Brock Holt up for his 4th at bat. 0 for 3 is Holt, and he takes that breaking ball that stays high. You know, a part of it, Tom, and the same thing struck me last night, is that hitters that look around as the pitch is coming in and it's called a strike, then you get somebody thrown out of the Red Sox dugout. Todd Tichenor had enough. I don't know who it was. We'll find out. And now it's going to be John Farrell. Probably Napoli and Farrell would be my best guess.
Well, if he's saying to the umpire, there's been several of those pitches and you missed all of them, you better go in and watch the replay of them, because just about every pitch they've complained about has been a strike.
What I was going to say, a guy that turns around and looks as Chirinos catches the ball and then brings it back up to where he thinks it's in the strike zone. If a hitter sees the catcher pull it up, he's going to think, well, that had to be low.
Yeah.
Why else would a catcher try to pull it back into what he thinks is the strike zone? You know, if you just catch the ball and leave your glove there, then the hitter doesn't have any recourse to get mad. No, we'll get who the ejections were and get that to you. Holt fouls the next pitch off. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Now here's the pitch outside to Pedroia that he gets into a serious argument with the umpire on. And let's take pitch to Napoli. Came back a little bit. That ball actually came back to the strike zone. Both of those balls were in the strike zone.
Yeah, they were. I agree. But Chirinos also pulled them back a little bit. You know, moved his glove back into what he thought was the strike zone after he caught the ball. They didn't change where the ball was. It just changed the hitter's perception of where it was. 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. That strikeout will be completed at first. And Ross Ollendorf punches out the last 2 to finish the inning. Red Sox, though, get a couple on the 2-run home run by Hanley Ramirez. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 5-4 Rangers.
Five 4 lead. This game 2 of a 4-game set between these two teams. Game 3 is tomorrow, not here on Fox Sports Southwest, but on the Big Fox Network. Chichi Gonzalez will make his major league debut for the Texas Rangers, looking to slow down the bat of one Mike Napoli, who, by the way, was just ejected from the game. Nap .371 in his last 10 games. And we will enjoy the night off and watch this one on television, guys.
All right, Em, thank you. Here's Fielder starting things off. Loops one into left center. That's going to fall for a base hit. And Prince now another multi-hit game. He was the league leader coming in that category, and he's added another to his league leading total. And Prince will be pinch run for by Escalino to Shields. And a new first baseman. Locke Holt moves in from left field to take over at first for the ejected Mike Napoli. And Carlos Peguero is now in left field.
That pretty much shows that Holt can play every position on the field except pitcher and catcher. He's played first, he's played left field, he runs well enough so you know he can play center field. Played shortstop, which means pretty good chance he can play third or second. And who knows, may even be the third catcher in an emergency.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he could pitch an inning himself.
Probably could. Looks like he's got a pretty good arm.
Beltre, a chopper to third. The second they get one is turned over quickly by Fedora. A 5-4-3 double play. And that erases the pinch runner, DeShields, and Beltre.
Can't get rid of it much quicker than that than Pedroia did on that double play.
Didn't stay in the glove very long, did it?
No.
So 2 outs, bases empty. Here's Hamilton. Josh 2 for 3, a pair of solo home runs. And fouling that first pitch off against Craig Breslow. It is strike 1. Josh, a .278 average now, and this is 5th game in a Ranger uniform this time around. Again, the overshift, the extreme overshift by the Red Sox. Sandoval now playing in the shortstop position. First homer came back in the second inning. A knuckleball from Stephen Wright, and Hamilton got most of that, a low line drive. And the next one he didn't hit as sharply, but as strong as he is, not 365 feet, enough to get it out. Down in the count here, no balls and 2 strikes. Rangers 5 runs on 10 hits. Red Sox 4 runs on 6 hits. 1-2. Breslow again ready. Didn't get Hamilton to offer that pitch. It was down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sean Tollison in the no-roll bullpen for the Rangers has assumed that 9th inning matchup the last 6 times. 2-2. Full count. Barnes loosening in the Red Sox bullpen. Breslow with the payoff pitch. Low, ball 4. Hamilton draws the 2-out walk. And Mitch Moreland will come up. Well, Josh, down in the count 0-2. Worked the walk from Breslow. That gives Mitch an opportunity to bat with a runner on and 2 away. Folks, follow the Rangers all season long in 2015 with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Mitch has had a significant amount of success against Craig Breslow. 4 for 7 in his previous matchups. Got Josh Hamilton at first. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. Nothing in 2. Breslow has been around. He originally came up with San Diego back in 2005. This is second tour of duty with Boston. He was with the Red Sox in 2006, then rejoined them in 2012. A ball and 2 strikes. Breslow has also seen a little bit of time with Cleveland and Minnesota and Oakland, and just a cup of coffee with Arizona. Mitch waiting. Breslow a check of first. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Torey Lovullo, the bench coach, assuming the managerial duties. And Mitch Moreland going the other way. Hamilton around second. He's going to motor into third as Mitch shot one right through the shortstop hole. Well, Mitch a 2-hit night.
The Rangers had a pickoff at second base in the 7th inning. They gave up a run, gave up a base runner, still scored 2 runs. Red Sox turned a double play to have 2 outs and nobody on. Rangers have another rally going, 1st and 3rd with 2 outs, trying to score some more runs with 2 outs.
And with the right-handed hitting Robinson Chirinos coming up, that's going to do it for Craig Breslow. So it'll be Matt Barnes summoned from the bullpen. He's going to make his way in, and while he does, we will take a timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. U.S. women's national team in search of their 3rd World Cup championship against the best teams in the world. The only place you can see the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup is on Fox and Fox Sports 1 beginning on June 6th. Now, Matt Barnes, the right-hander now on, the 24-year-old from Connecticut. Asked here to face Robinson Chirinos with runners at 1st and 3rd. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. This for Barnes, his 9th appearance. Giving up a league average of 308 average against. So the Rangers an opportunity here to do a little more damage if Chirinos can get a base hit. Rangers have had their lead cut to 1. They lead at 5-4. Chirinos tonight 1 for 3. Had a single in the 7th inning and came around to score. That's out of play to the right, and the count evens at 1-1. Barnes out of the University of Red Sox took him in the first round of the 2011 draft. This is just off the plate. Pretty good fastball in 96. 2-1. Swihart gives the signs. Barnes. And there's a base hit to left field by Chirinos. Hamilton scores. It gets by Peguero. And coming around third is Moreland. He will score. As the Rangers add on two, it is 7-4.
Well, Robinson ripped that ball. 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Hit it down into the left field corner. Peguero couldn't play it. Rangers give up the 2-run homer, come right back with a 2-out rally. After the double play, it's 2 outs, nobody on. A walk to Josh, and a single and a double, and Rangers have the 2 runs back. Well hit ball by Robinson. Peguero's trying to cut it off. Can't cut it off, and then the ball hits the wall and goes right by him.
Trying to give Robinson Chirinos a 2 RBI double. And that ball was smoked into that corner.
He's trying to get to the ball to keep the other run from scoring, but what he did was actually let the other run score when the ball kicked away from him.
Well, something the Rangers did very well on that just completed road trip, that's answer. Come right back and answer when the opposition either took the lead or made the ball game closer. And Jeff Anderson said that's one of the things that he really liked about what had developed with the Ranger club, is that ability to answer in kind, and they have done it again here tonight. 1-1 the count to Rosales. Now 2-1. Adam, a double and a run scored, 1 for 3 this evening, hitting an even 200. And again, more 2-out damage tonight. The 2 runs here coming with 2 outs. 2 runs in the 7th inning coming with 2 outs. One of Hamilton's home run coming with 2 outs. 3-1 to Rosales. Ball 4. First and second. Hanser Alberto is coming up, and Carl Willis headed out to the mound. A little bit of baseball knowledge down at that end of the Ranger dugout right now. Prince Fielder and Adrian Beltre.
Well, there's some close talking going on in that huddle.
Yeah, there is. Well, we have a second here. We want to remind you that tomorrow, MLB on Fox Sports 1 returns as the Diamondbacks take on the Brewers. That's a 3 o'clock start. Then at 6, it's Baseball Night in America on Fox. Red Sox and Rangers battle it out here at Globe Life Park. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox and Fox Sports 1. Kenny Albert and Eric Karros will be sitting up here describing the action for you. That's Alberto going after that first pitch from Matt Barnes and skies it out of play. Hanser Alberto, his first major league hit was a run-scoring triple, and he scored his first major league run very shortly thereafter. Nice trip around the base pass. That pitch gets away from Swihart. Robinson Chirinos had thought he'd caught it, and he was just going back to second with his head down. And then somebody yelled at him or something. He looked up, oh, it did get by him, didn't it? A little bit. Adrian was yelling at him. That's who it was.
Say, hey, lighten up a little bit. I just got a 2-run double.
That's going to cost him. Put in the fine into the Kangaroo Court. 1-1 pitch. And skied to shallow right field. Pedroia going out. Castillo coming on. Castillo makes the call on the catch. And that'll do it. But the Rangers answer. They get 2 runs on 3 hits and leaves a couple. We're going to the 9th inning. It's the Rangers 7 and the Red Sox 4.
At home, and this is what putting your foot down looks like. The Rangers take a 3-run lead into the 9th inning, and Sean Tolleson will come on and try to close the door on the Boston Red Sox. John Radigan up here on the set of Rangers Live up in the Captain Morgan Club, and inviting you to join us. Right after the game, we'll have a complete post-game wrap-up. We'll hear from Hanser Alberto. We'll hear from Jeff Bannister and all the principals in this one. It's a complete post-game wrap-up that includes Mac and Pudge, who are sitting here anxiously awaiting the show with me. We'll be right back after the game, guys, with Rangers Live.
All right, John. Well, it's been turned over now to Sean Tolleson. And Tolleson has been, well, perfect, if you will, on his five save chances. He has 5 saves. He has given up a grand total of 2 hits in the 5 innings. And here he has a 3-run lead with which to work. That's the most he has had to come into a ball game yet. His 5 saves came on in the middle of that 7-game road winning streak for the Rangers. He had 2 in Boston, 1 in New York, 2 in Cleveland. Chopper to third. Beltre takes care of that for out number 1 as Andrew Bogarts grounds out to begin the top of the 9th inning.
Only worry on that ground ball was whether it was going to hit the lip where the grass meets the dirt. Might have actually hit it. Adrian waited back, caught the hop, and then threw it quickly. No problem for him.
Yeah, and say if the ball's going to hit the lip, there's only one guy I'd like to have out there trying to field it.
And throwing flat-footed is no problem for him either. That's pretty much the way he likes to do it.
Now 1 out. Here's Blake Swihart. And he takes a fastball. It's pumped in there by Sean Tolleson. Swihart tonight is 1 for 2 officially. He's had a walk, also an RBI single, and a line drive to center. 1-1. Swihart facing the 26-year-old right-hander Sean Tolleson, Baylor X, out of Allen, Texas. 2-1. Talking about the 5 saves that Tolleson has had consecutively. He's also struck out 6 in those 5 innings. Adrian Beltre. 2 gone. All Adrian had to do was stick his glove up and then went into it. A 2 out is Rusney Castillo. Castillo tonight is 1 for 3. He has had a single and then twice has grounded into a double play. Both times started by Adam Rosales. One ball and one strike. Good crowd on hand tonight. They are excited about the Rangers. They've seen some fireworks. They will see some more after the ball game. Josh Hamilton providing fireworks during the game, along with his Ranger teammate, Sean Tolleson. Trying to get them on their feet, and he is doing that. 1 and 2. To have them wait just a moment. Maybe one more pitch before they can go crazy. The 2-2. All 3. Well, Castillo gets on. Dustin Pedroia is waiting. He'd rather see him tomorrow at some point. Payoff pitch to right field, playable for Shin-Soo Choo. Camps underneath it, puts it away, and that is a winner. Sean Tolleson with his 6th save. Hanser Alberto with his first major league hit, RBI, and run scored. And Jeff Bannister of the Rangers, along Josh Hamilton, walk away with a 7-4 win and even this series up at a game apiece. Well, it was quite a night again. Josh Hamilton building on last night, getting a 2-hit night under his belt in his return to Globe Life Park. Tonight, right out of the chute, a solo home run in the 2nd. Next time up, a solo home run in the 4th inning. Josh, a couple of home runs. Rangers pound out a dozen base hits tonight, including Hamilton's 2 home runs. And they are back on the winning side of things here in Arlington. Our TXU Energy Power Player of the Game. And we're talking about Josh Hamilton. Now here is some power for you. Stephen Wright, the first time up, and Hamilton just crunched a high knuckleball for his first home run. Next time up, not hit quite as hard, but the bottom line turned out the same way. It was in the lower home run porch. And let's go down to the field. Emily Jones has Josh Hamilton.
Thank you very much. Well, Josh, something about the knuckleball pitcher, huh?
You know, it makes you focus a little harder, and it slows you way down. You know, a lot of times the problem in the game is the game gets too fast. So when you slow things down, usually it works out a little better for you.
What's it been like these last couple of days playing in front of these fans?
I mean, honestly, if I could say a dream come true, you know, really it is. You know, to come back and, you know, be at home and play in front of the fans and then welcome me back. You know, I couldn't ask for anything more.
I don't know that I've ever seen a player thrive so much off of that. Do you feel that that's the case, and do you feed off of that, and does it build your confidence?
I do. You know, you like to try to show off for people. You know, I used to, my grandmother and my parents, and, you know, I used to look for them in the stands and make sure they were there. And, you know, being back home, it feels that way with all the fans here.
Always appreciate the honesty, Josh.
Thanks.
We appreciate the time. Congratulations on the 2 home runs. Josh Hamilton, our TXU Energy Power Player of the Game, guys. Back to you.
All right, and thank you very much. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. and by your Texas Ford dealer. The Ford Memorial Day EcoBoost sales event is here. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Well, John and Mac and Pudge, we've got to wrap things up in the Captain Morgan Club. A 7-4 Ranger win. They'll be back in a moment.